Casey, you believe in winning the relationship, not just the deal. What's that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot. It was a mindset that I would think was built over 20 something plus years in sales and leadership. And when I really thought more about it, it's if I win people, and there's ways to go, there's steps I teach and that I follow and I still teach myself. Skills that I think are going to be like, they call them evergreen. You're going to be always learning them. Winning people is the most important thing. If I'm always about a transaction, if I'm always just trying to get a deal done, but I'm not worried about someone or their outcome or what's important to them, then I'm not going to be on top of their mind. I'm not going to be someone they're going to think to refer. And so for me, I just think it's about winning people. It's about creating that Maya Angelou moment. It's not what you said, what he said, but how do you make people feel? And for me, I think that's the most simplistic way I'd say how I want to win a relationship and why it's most important.
How often do you find sales reps are going about that the wrong way? They're going about it deal first, not necessarily relationship first.
I would be guessing, but I'd say north of 70.
Yeah.
The pressure of metrics, the pressure of automation, the pressure of I got to make 500 calls. I got to do this. I got to send out 400 emails all at once. I don't believe in that method. I'd rather make my outreach impactful. I'd rather make my outreach very specific and targeted, understand my ideal customer profile and have a sales process and follow it. I think sometimes it's easy to do. It's easy to be common. It's easy to kind of take a half-assed step. It's easy not to document. It's easy not to prep before a meeting. It's easy, but when we're uncommon and we choose to do things uncommonly that most people don't want to do because it's hard, you choose transaction versus relationship. And I think in the end, when we're truly understanding what our customers do, we're truly understanding what's important to them, we truly understand what motivates them, why, we take time to be curious and understand those things, that's how you start winning relationships.
How do you propose we get started there? So if we want to be curious, if we want to learn about our prospects, where does the average sales rep get started?
I think the most simplistic way, and I learned this question at the ripe old age of 41, which was years ago, which is how you can start a meeting. So I would say most sellers, when they start a meeting, they start there to tell them, the prospect or the customer, all about them. Most sellers, and this is maybe a takeaway people can take today. So I would encourage you to write this down, everybody, if you're listening. So if I was meeting you for the first time, I'd say, Brad, nice to meet you. I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to meet with you today. I'm excited to talk about our company and A, B, and C. But more importantly, describe what would be an ideal outcome for you in the time we have today. And you might say blank or blank. And then I'm going to say, great, tell me why. Tell me why that'd be important. Now, the pushback I get from people is they'll say, well, Casey, I don't want to ask that question because I set the meeting. It's my job to set the agenda. I'm saying, you're right. But tell me what would happen if something changed in the week since you last spoke. Tell me if what you thought they wanted to talk about, they don't want to talk about today. And instead, you just go right into your pitch. You go right into your what every other seller does. But by asking that question, if something changed, you give yourself a chance to pivot, to think on your feet. I think, I hate to go, I played football in college, Brad, so I'm going to go Uncle Rico moment from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
If I call a play in the huddle, but then we get up line of scrimmage and there's no way my lineman can block it, well, that's why we have this thing called an audible. That question allows me to call an audible and always talk about what's important to the customer first. That's a simplistic way to win a relationship. And then either even more simplistic is I would challenge sellers, when's the last time you said no? No, we're not the right fit. You know what? I don't think I can help you, but let me do some research and try to find you someone else.
Yeah, I'll tell you, in staffing and recruiting, I think it takes a lot of courage to say, no, we're not the right fit, especially when the industry's been down for 3 years. I talked to staffing industry analysts. I talked to Barry Asen recently on the episode, and he had said the industry is projecting only 1% growth this year. So even coming out of a 3-year decline, we're not even projecting to really rebound at all. So a lot of staffing owners that I'm talking to are taking any business that they can. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's what I'm seeing throughout the industry. And having the courage to say no takes a lot of courage. I know I've said the word a few times, but it does take a lot of courage to do that.
I tell a story in the book I wrote where there's someone I was targeting for literally 3 years. And he finally gave me a chance. And this was like 6 weeks before this huge conference that me and my team used to go, and we'd sponsor this big developer summit, and to get into this other business, I was so excited, but the time frame he needed for us to be successful was unrealistic. The time frame once we got our team on board was unrealistic. And so I talked to my recruiting team. I'm like, I'm not going to do this to you. And I got to say no. And if it means we're not going to work with this person, then it wasn't meant to be. I remember telling the guy, like, hey, I really, really am so excited that you wanted to give us this opportunity, but I can't say yes to this because we're going to set you up to fail and us up to fail. I don't want to do that. He's like, what do you mean? He was like kind of frustrated at first.
Yeah.
I go, because I don't want to be that guy that when we're in Vegas together and that presentation goes up and your CEO is reading it and it just completely looks atrocious and the wireframe is awful. And then they're like, whoa, Jacox, yeah, God, his team sucks. Like, I don't want to be that guy. So if you want to be mad at me for being honest and setting expectations, then I'll own it. But I hope that over time you realize that this is a gift for both of us. And I hope this shows you a little bit about me and my character in the team, the people you're going to be working with. I mean, I think that's a kind of real time example that you kind of just pulled out of me that was uncommon. And I didn't realize it at the time.
How does the average sales rep build the confidence internally to say, listen, I know we have metrics, I know we have KPIs, but I want to build more relationships. I want to be more personal. I want to know exactly what these prospects are looking to do and find the right solution for them in a world where just pound phones and make 30 more calls today.
Well, it starts with a sign behind me. I don't know if this is a video podcast or not, but the word believe. The word believe. Okay. I got that again pumped into me at age 41, big year of growth. And the person asked me, he goes, "Do you believe what you do matters?" One of my mentors. And I never really had someone slow me down to think about that. And then he asked me again, "Do you truly believe what you do matters?" I go, "Yes." And I think sometimes in staffing, people don't believe what they do matters because it's a transactional see rec, fill rec, see job, fill job. But when you believe that what you're doing is like, yeah, we're solving a problem in healthcare, or we're solving a problem in logistics, or we're helping get the next iPhone out, or wow, we just created a new bank app that's allowing businesses to do A, B, and C. Like you think about it from the business solution problem versus just the body. That's step one. I think additionally is a lot of the work I do as a sales and leadership coach is majority of the customers I work with do not have an ideal customer profile. They think they do, but they don't. Mm-hmm. Their market is Earth, which is pretty broad, right? Yeah. So I would encourage people to target maybe something a little bit smaller. Sure. And, literally it could be 15 accounts, 20 accounts and then the next thing, once you got belief, you're building your confidence. Now we have a legit target is just have a little bit of a strategy for how we're going after that. And so one thing that I got taught years ago that still works for me today, it's still something I share with my team, is truly understanding is it just a name of a company? Is it a target because we truly know they do what they do? Is it a customer that's currently given us business, or is it specifically more of what we call a key account, like putting people in these buckets? Yeah. But if it's just a wing it approach and I'm just, going after anything, that's stressful. And I've seen it produce a lot of negative results.
I think it's stressful. I think it leads to burnout. I think it leads to people just sort of going through the motions, right? There's no sense of fulfillment if you're just making 30 to 40 calls a day, 20 by lunch, you got to do 20 after lunch, do some miscellaneous admin work in between there. There is no sense of fulfillment. And in the industry, it is a fantastic industry of putting great people to work and great opportunity. So on the sales side, you're helping grow organizations that are going to change either a local market or bigger scale, possibly change the world, right? Depending on who you're partnering with at the company level. On the candidate side of things, I see the testimonials almost daily from client testimonials that come in because we help our clients with reputation management, physically changing the lives of the candidates that they're working with. And if you're just so focused on the transactional, I get an order, put personal work in order, put body to work in order, you're going to miss that day after day. And that's absolutely where burnout's going to happen. And it's sad to say that that's happening in the industry, but it is. And it's probably only going to get worse as AI and automation and technology force the industry to make a change and become less human in companies where we don't have a human first approach.
Yep. Well, I think I love AI. I love
Same.
what automation can do, but what I don't like about it, it's going to create average sellers less average. It potentially has the risk to create good salespeople average and elite people not elite, because it forces, or it allows the mistake of complacency to sneak in. I can just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Write me a post on ABC. Ooh, I like that. Copy paste. We'll post it. Not my voice.
Right.
Casey's posted for the last 4 weeks. He's never used one emoji. Now this post has 46.
Right.
That's not him.
Right.
So it has to be your voice. I use AI as a framework. I use AI to like maybe double check something. You still got to have a story. Like someone asked me one time, are you concerned that someone could just copy your book in AI and ChatGPT? I said, no, go ahead and copy it. Have a ChatGPT write a book for you. Because when the customer says, challenges them for a story, I got 20 years of street fights in that book. They got four minutes of typing in ChatGPT. I'd love to compete against that person. So I think, but back to your thing you said a second ago, I think it might be a good transition to talk about curiosity. So like, if I'm a leader and I'm saying, Brad, hey, 40 calls, let's go. Okay. Yes, sir. How many leaders stop and say, okay, Brad, tell me why making 40 calls is important. Tell me the negative impact of not making 40 calls.
Right.
Tell me how it feels if we knew your best competitor was making those 40 calls. Describe what other ways besides calls we could use to be uncommon to get in front of that customer. Great. Tell me why. And that was like, 6-7 questions right there.
Right.
That most leaders don't want to do because they actually want to take on, and this is fresh before we start recording. I talked about this, just was on a coaching call with a client today who had this epiphany. And this is kind of that also falls in line of winning a relationship, because she's winning a relationship with her employee. Mm-hmm. She was enabling them. She was burdening the pain of their growth. She was allowing them to make excuses, ask for more accounts because it's hard. But instead, if you do all those things, they don't learn. They don't feel the pain. They don't want to change. And they don't, if we don't slow down to help them learn or uncover what this next thought is, they just go through the motions and we let fear sneak in. And I think any good leader their job is to, remove fear and instill confidence. And when we don't do those things, weird. Now you have sales culture issues.
Yeah. Why do you think the majority of people lose that curiosity in their day-to-day?
Patience, lack of patience. That we want it now. Go fast, go fast, go fast. But I think it's the opposite. You have to slow down to go fast. And it was the coolest thing about this moment with this executive. She was like, oh my God, I see it. It like clicked. And now life slows down. Now, if I gave her the answer two sessions ago, it would have been my idea.
Sure.
Just like in selling or winning relationships, we have to make it their idea. We have to make it the customer's idea to want to buy with us. And how we do that is we have to understand the problems we solve. We need to understand how we solve those problems differently or better than our competition. It's not just about staffing. Maybe, we fill positions, but how we do it is differently or better than our competition because my client tells me that. I've asked those additional questions to see, hey, how would a client talk about the services we provide? How do we know? Well, ask them. And so like doing those types of things is what creates someone else to sit in that pain, what creates someone else to want to buy from you. And if I ask great questions of my team, they're going to sell themselves. If I ask great questions of my clients, they're going to sell themselves. When I'm the one trying to convince people, they're going to resist me.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about my friends over at Tricom. What if your back office fueled your growth instead of holding it back? Tricom makes it happen. From payroll and billing to accounting and asset-based lending, Tricom clears the roadblocks, empowers your path forward. Your team gets paid, your cash flow stays steady, and your business scales like never before. Tricom doesn't just support you, they set you up to soar. To learn more about my friends over at Tricom, visit tricom.com. That's TRICOM.com. All right, let's get back to the show. You mentioned going slow to go fast. I'm just coming off the back end of completing my first marathon. And over the last year, I learned a lot about zone 2 training,
Let's go,
if you think about, I appreciate it. If you think about getting better at running or getting good at running, I guess the instinct would be, well, let's go out and run as fast as possible, get my heart rate through the roof so that I can train my heart to work better. And it's actually the exact opposite. You got to go slow to go fast. You got to build that floor so that you can go for longer distances, which actually speeds you up. I learned that throughout the journey, and it's interesting that that's now coming back to me through you about business. It's so interesting how I could paint these parallels between sports or fitness or whatever, music and business all day. But I love when the universe sort of puts somebody like yourself randomly on Riverside, saying back a lesson I've been repeating to myself for the last 8 months. So I had to make a comment about that. When I think about curiosity, when I think about asking the right questions, my concern is that in an industry where sales reps turn over so quickly, they don't know how to be curious because they're just given a script. They're given the playbook. They're told, call these 20 people, call these 40 people. You get a live person on the phone. Here's what you're going to say. And just like you had mentioned, that AI can be maybe a negative crutch if used the wrong way. So can call scripts. If we don't know the foundation of why we're asking the questions we are, then we don't know how to call that audible. We don't know how to pivot, right? If somebody says something we're not used to it, we shut down, we get nervous, we get scared. Maybe we hang up the phone and run away. I certainly hope not. But we have to sort of have that curiosity to say, okay, why am I asking the questions I'm asking so that I can ask better follow-up questions? I can have a better sales process.
Well, I love that you said that. And I don't, well, one thing I'd say, I stopped using the word randomly and now I say serendipitously.
Okay.
I always like to believe things happen for a purpose or reason.
Yeah.
But I'd say that how people get good at what you just talked about requires one word. Let's see if we can put the host on the spot, see if he can get it. It starts with a P. Yeah. It's like if you ran a race, like you ran a marathon, the chance of you saying, you know what, I'm kind of bored, I might go run a marathon. Probably not going to be a good outcome. But if you put in the P, you put in the work, put in the reps, just like a golfer, if I go to the driving range, I am doing this, starts the P. Any idea what the word is yet?
I would say it's either persistence, it's practice reps, it's
practice. And so if we don't practice as sellers or leaders, then what we should change our pitch to is like this. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I can be honest with you. I have no idea what your company does, but I'm getting tons of pressure on my boss is like, make 60 calls a day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wing it. And what I'd like you to do is just give me the exclusive. I could give two, what about your business? Cause I don't really care, but because I got to get my deals in, I got to get my calls up. What do you say? Would you like to work with me, Mr. and Mrs. Client? Now I'm being really sarcastic, right? That's not what we'd say, but
you are, but you're not, because that's how the call is coming off, 100%. Right? They're not saying it, but that's exactly what's being done.
Yeah. It's like, let's say that you say something that allows me to ask a great question, but I'm like, I just go right into, so we have a sale 4 for 1 plus a Casio and a new pair of ASICs. Would you like to sign here, Mr. and Mrs. Client? It's just like, no, that's like the mayor of A-Holeville. No, thank you.
Right.
But when we slow down to maybe ask something that, well, hold on, you said something, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Tell me why that'd be important. Tell me what would be happen if, so you said you got to get this project out by X date. I know you said you got to hire 2 people, but tell me why. Yeah. Tell me what happens if we don't get those people staffed by X date. Tell me who else internally is impacted by this project versus, hey, do you know anybody else that needs to hire contractors? Or do you have anybody have staffing needs? When we practice asking questions differently, and we as leaders have grace for our teams to realize that they're not just going to start day one and frickin' be amazing at what they do. Sure. And another thing I would encourage leaders is full circle and kind of maybe off script, but hopefully not too oft is we're good. Hire for adversity. Find people that have gone through adversity, like find someone that has run a marathon, that has the mental fortitude to go through that, because staffing sales and staffing recruiting is hard. It's really, really hard. And it requires a mindset of grit and resilience. And so if you can't rely on an experience of grit or resilience, you're going to be very transactional. You won't be winning the relationship. But if you know that, hey, it's going to take some time, I know what it takes, but I'm going to have to, I can create a new mindset every day or every hour to be my best version of me, because I believe in myself, I believe in my team. And then once that call's over, it's over. I was my best. Now I got to let that call go to the next call. Yeah. And I can't allow one bad call, delete it, one bad week, one bad month. And so I think having the right mindset also is really, really important for people to understand why winning people is, and why having that grit and resilience will help them be successful.
Love the thought of hiring for adversity. Love the thought of asking questions to find out more about the individual. I just had Declan Edwards on the show at time of recording. We dropped the episode today, who is a happiness researcher out of Australia. And he had talked about how we need to hire from the heart instead of the mind, because work is sort of shifting to work of the heart instead of work from the mind. We had just talked about ChatGPT. The tactical skills of pretty much any job can be outlined with one prompt. Now, yes, I can articulate a better prompt and we can really laser into what do I need to do as director of digital marketing in a marketing agency in Buffalo, New York, right? What does that job look like? What are the characteristics? The what you do is very easy to sort of get the playbook for it. Your mind, the heart, is different. So I think when you hire for adversity, you figure out what actually makes Casey tick, what really gets him going, what is on the opposite side of that, what turns him off. How are we not going to get an A performer out of Casey? Because Casey might be coming in as an A performer, but I can certainly make him a C or D level performer too, based on my actions. Mm-hmm. So how do I get the best out of him? How do I get the worst out of him? How do I learn about adversity? How do I learn what he's been through? How do I know if he played sports growing up or if he played an instrument or what sort of upbringing he had? Those are the questions that I think we need to ask. But it's going to come back to, Casey, that curiosity. And it's not just going through the script. It's not just going through the questions that you have. And it's being genuinely curious about the person.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm jealous of sellers today. Because there's so much information that they can use, but they don't choose to use it. Like when I started, Brad, I had this thing called the classifieds, which these things in the Sunday newspaper. Yeah. And that's where our job boards were. So on Sunday for 2 hours, I would get out of this thing called a yellow highlighter, everybody, which is like this really cool pen that actually makes the ink yellow. And you could see it like coloring. And I would highlight all the companies that were hiring. That was my call list. I didn't have LinkedIn. Right. And so I started my consulting business on LinkedIn on accident. Didn't mean to do this. But after spending 20 years at Kforce, writing a book, starting a podcast, speaking and coaching found me. Didn't mean to do this. I did because of LinkedIn, just connecting with people. So LinkedIn, if you go there, let's say that Brad writes a post. Mm-hmm. I don't have to call you and say, hey, Brad, it's Casey. Would it be okay if I leave a comment on your post that you did? I don't need to I can show up and be, wow, that was a thoughtful comment by Casey. Wow, he just shared my post and tagged 4 people that thought might be interested in hearing that. Wow.
Right.
How many people are doing that? Not many. How many people are having the courage to maybe create a video, tell a story? Not many. Yeah. How many people, like you maybe think of this other thing where one of my clients recently found out that him and his wife were having a baby. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Congrats. Are you sharing that with others? Well, no. Well, is it you guys keeping it quiet? Oh, no, we're telling people. Well, tell me why you wouldn't share that with a potential client. Because they didn't ask. Well, let me challenge that. They asked, hey, nice to talk to you. How you doing? I'm doing great, man. I just found out we're having a baby. Yeah. Why wouldn't you share that? And so this is where people agree with me or disagree. People disagree with me. Sometimes they'll say, well, because, hey, you got to keep it business focused. So I get that. But if I can't find commonality that leads to a connection, that leads to rapport, which leads to trust, there's going to be no relationship. To me, if it's all about business metrics up front, business, sure, that might work for some. I'm not saying it's not. I just think for me, 49 years of life, my strategy has worked time and time again. And I've seen it transition to multiple industries, from real estate to staffing to consulting to golf to medical to sports. I mean, winning people creates long-term relationships.
I can tell you the best clients that I work with, the best individuals that I know in this industry know everything about me. And I will say, just because we're a remote team, so I work from home 3 days a week. I have my 9-month-old and my 3-year-old at home, usually running around doing whatever. I usually, now we're recording in studio, so it's a little bit different, but I will usually say, Casey, just real quick, just so you know, my 9-month-old coworker is here with me. You might hear her in the background. I'll do my absolute best to not have to step out, but in case I do, I'll give you a call back as soon as I can. And I try to be as human as possible about it. And now, yes, there are certain meetings where you need to lock in. I know if I need to record an episode, that's why I've partnered with a great person here in Buffalo and in Tyler and his production studio, so that we can have the peace of mind and the quiet and the solitude to get this done. But I lead with that. And Casey, what I think is interesting there is my son is 3 now. So let's say in 3 years of having a coworker at home, there's only been one person who has sort of given me the vibe that wasn't okay. Everybody else, that's fine, man. I get it. Either they've been there, they're going to be there, or they can't relate, but they understand enough where it's like, listen, he's still here. He's still locked in. There's only been one person in one call where they said, you know what, let's reschedule when they're not around. Candidly, we don't work with that client anymore.
Let him go.
Yeah, we don't work with that client anymore. We didn't even let him go. It wasn't a good fit, but that was sort of the writing on the wall right there, which is super, super interesting. But yeah, man, I think in an industry where we're putting great people to work and great opportunities, the more human, the more curious, the more authentic we can be, the better.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also add vulnerable. So that's my I have this equation for leadership and relationship building. I always say H plus C plus V equals leadership, or H plus C plus V equals relationship. And that means I think the best leaders are humble. The best sellers are humble. The best leaders are vulnerable, or sellers humble. And then humble, vulnerable, and curious. And so humble and vulnerable to be able to share stories where they once sucked, where they were struggled. And sometimes be like, why would I do that? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you, if someone's less experienced than you, why wouldn't you say, hey, tell me, have I shared this time where I was really scared to come to work, or where I thought I was going to get fired, or I didn't know what to say when the client said this? Like, imagine if you said that to someone who's a little bit newer than you. Wow, that just removed more fear. And fear loves to hide in sales teams. I see it in every client I work with, which is ego. Yeah. And so one of the best leadership phrases that I got taught, that I still teach myself, and I share with others, is when someone said, tell me what's more important. Do you want to be right, or do you want to get what you want? Can't have both. And to me, I think it's a great first interview question, because if someone says, I want to be right, I'd shut that interview down quickly, because that tells me they have a massive ego. But if I say, I want to get what I want, weird. Probably can be a better teammate, better culture. Because in staffing, it's easy to say, I have the perfect candidate. You should hire this person. And whenever I had a recruiter tell me that, I'd be like, wow, tell me what's changed. And they're like, what are you talking about? I go, did you get your software degree over the weekend? Because how do you know what the perfect candidate looks like? Because I don't know how to code. You don't know how to code. Yet we're trying to convince people. Now, you might say, hey, I think I got a great candidate based on these things I've done. But if we don't truly know, be careful what we say. That's not, again, that'd be another way to win the relationship. We're setting expectations. We're being vulnerable to say, hey, maybe we don't know everything, but here's the things I have done. Tell me what you think, Mr. and Mrs. Client.
Hey, it's Brad taking a short break to tell you about an offer exclusive to listeners of Take the Stage. 30 minutes of strategic marketing consultation with me, completely free. Hey, whether you're looking to drive more sales or more job applications, I want to help. Visit bit.ly/stage offer. Pick a time that works best for you. That's it. Again, whether you want to drive more applications or more job orders, I want to help. That's bit.ly/stage offer. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I'm thinking about MPC marketing and reaching out with your skill marketing, right? So this person came across my desk. I know they're talented. They're not going to be here on Monday. I'm going to put them somewhere, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about them. I may be going about that all wrong, though, right? And thinking through, listen, I don't know what your current challenges are. I don't know what your pain points are. I don't know if this is going to be the right person for you right now. I think they're great by all measures that I have, but I think changing, my marketing strategy hat's kicking in on the fly here. I think changing what that messaging is to, listen, I've been doing this for 10 years, whatever the number is. I've been doing this for 10 years. By all measures, this person looks like the ideal candidate. Let's talk about what you're looking for, though, and figure out if they're the right candidate for you. Figure out what it is that you're looking to do. Figure out if there's any gaps that I'm missing. I think having that vulnerability is huge. And Casey, real quick before you go too, I think instinctively ego gets in the way of a lot of good leaders and a lot of good sales reps and a lot of good people. We live through social media and we live through the highlight reel that we see on Facebook. We live through the highlight reel of Instagram. People's lives aren't a highlight reel though. And it's totally acceptable to pick up the phone and talk to a prospect and say, listen, I don't know that answer, but I'm going to spend the next hour to figure it out, or I'm going to pull in the right people and figure it out. I love that answer. I use that at Haley Marketing all the time. You know what? I'm not sure, but we have a team of 80 over here and I'm certain somebody does know that answer. So after this call, I'm going to hop in a meeting. We'll figure it out and I'll get back to you.
Love it.
There's vulnerability in saying, listen, I don't know, but there's so much strength in the team behind me that says, but we do, and we're going to figure it out. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is sales reps, I think recruiters, I think great people let their ego get in the way and they try to fabricate an answer. Mm-hmm. And there's no reason to have to do that.
I tell a story in the book about when I did that the wrong way early in my career. I remember meeting with a client early. This is like maybe year one or two in the business. And I remember the client was talking to me about some crazy technical skill that I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. But I was like, oh yeah. We got that 100%, girl. We got you. I go back to the office and I remember telling my recruiting team, and I think her name was Krista. Krista's like, Casey, what is that? I'm like, no idea, but you got to find it because that's your job as a recruiter. She's like, I'm not going to work on that. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't know what it is. If you don't know what it is, I don't know what it is. We're not going to work on it. I'm like, she goes, oh, well, what are we going to do? She goes, call the client back. My boss made me call the client back. I'm like, oh God, so embarrassed. And I had to say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I'm really sorry. There was one more question I didn't ask that I wish I would have asked. Do you have like 2 more minutes? Sure. Mm-hmm. I wish I would have asked this and I didn't. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you please just share a little bit more about this? And I got my recruiter on the phone and it was such a good lesson and then later at the end of my career, now because I had belief, I had experience. I remember there was an executive that said, he was the executive that just loved being, let me tell you how good I am because I'm pretty good. He's almost like the Ron Burgundy, like kind of a big deal.
Come see how good I look.
I have many leather-bound books. Yeah. And everybody, come look how good I look. Well played.
We got a Napoleon Dynamite and an Anchorman quote in this episode?
Yes, Ron Burgundy.
Casey, we're gonna be good friends here, buddy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. I just lost my train of thought. What was I calling that?
I don't know, because I started talking about the scene where, hey, everyone come see how good I look. You were talking about not having the skills, not knowing what it is that you were going to fill the role.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so this VP was like, this VP says, like, he was talking about all this technical stuff, and I said, can you tell me a little bit more about that? And the person was like, you don't know what this is? I said, I don't know it as much as you, and I'd love to learn more about it from your perspective so I can make sure that we articulate and understand this is the right fit for us. How am I supposed to trust you, Casey, if you don't understand this technology? You're not going to be able to just try to grill me, get into me. I said, well, with all due respect, Mr. and Mrs. Client, that's not my job. My job is not to be a technical expert. My job is to give you talent, access to talent that you don't know where it exists. That's why I'm here. So if you want to judge me based on my technical aptitude or my coding ability, then we should just end this meeting now because I'm not going to be your right guy. But if you want to judge me on how well we find talent for you, better than most, because I've been doing this for almost 20 years, I'd love to help you. But if not, that's okay too. We'll walk away. Yeah. And it was like then a staring contest. He's like, you're right. I'm sorry. It's a good answer. Now I was like, what am I going to do? Was it risky to say that? 100%. Sure. Was it my ego speaking up? I don't think so. Maybe 1%, but more of it just being honest, setting expectations, having the clarity just to be honest. But again, it's having clarity of why are we here? We're here to help people find talent that they don't have access to. Mm-hmm. We're here to be honest, set expectations, be great listeners, use our CRMs, document the heck out of what we do. Keep practicing, check our ego, have patience, all these things that like are life skills, staffing or not. But we don't have to be the experts. Now you have to be knowledgeable. So I would continue to challenge sales and recruiting teams and be knowledgeable of the technology, but you don't have to be an expert. At least for me, I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sitting there and I'm kind of thinking on that for a second. I think having the curiosity to follow up on a call or an email is critical. I had a barber a long time ago. This is kind of a random story. Then I didn't see this conversation going there at all. I had a barber a while ago who every single time she cut my hair, she would style it and she would say, hang on, there's just one little spot that I want to clean up. Every single time. And I don't know if it was just her thing. I don't know if she did it strategically. I don't know what was going on in her world. And I never asked, and she moved away, and I don't go to her anymore. But every single time she would say, hang on, there's just one thing I want to fix. And it was always that like attention to detail that made me go back, because who knows if it was anything that she was actually even cleaning up. She could have been just putting the scissors above my head and pretending, right? But I always felt like it was that attention to detail, that she was so laser focused on getting everything right, that I loved. So I sort of took that to my world, and now I sort of use it as, okay, well, what can I do that's just that one little step further? So after a call, can I send a transcript right away? Can I send a follow-up